Welcome to the Best and the Worst, where I take a look at a retro gaming console and give you my picks for the top 5 best games and the worst 5 stinkers for the console, as well as an honorable mention that almost achieved greatness. For games in a series like Mario or Sonic, I limit the best and worst lists to only one game from each series per list, just to be fair. In this video, the Sega MasterSystem. First released as the Sega Mark III in 1985, this was the most advanced of the third-generation gaming consoles, on paper at least, and included a number of innovative features such as an optional FM synthesis module and compatibility with low-cost games published on Sega cards in addition to regular cartridges. If you can believe it, the Master System is still being produced in Brazil. Shout out to my viewers in Brazil, keeping the Master System on life support. Anyway, let's check out the games. The 5th best Sega Master System game, Bobble. Who doesn't love this one? This is arguably the most fun home console port of this arcade classic. Bobble is a single-screen points game and, well, it's exactly what it looks like. You're a little lizard dinosaur guy jumping around shooting bubbles out of your mouth, turning the bad guys into fruit. 'Cause why not? It takes a whole 30 seconds to figure the game out, but it won't get old for quite a while. The Master System port retains the bright, colorful graphics, lighthearted atmosphere, and fun, goofy music. What's not to love about this? The 4th best Sega Master System game, Fantasy Zone. This was envisioned as Sega's Gradius killer trying to compete with Konami, and introduced a number of innovative gameplay elements, such as shops and 2-directional level warps. Fantasy Zone is generally considered to have started the whole shoot-'em-up genre of side-scrolling shooter games with bright, colorful graphics. It features a wide color palette, upbeat music, and simple gameplay that is easy to learn but hard to master. This was the first home port of the game, and it started a franchise of 8 titles. Quite the legacy. The 3rd best game on the Master System, Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, I'm giving Sonic 1 the slot on the list, even though Sonic 2 and Sonic Chaos are great games as well, but Sonic 1 was the best seller out of the 8-bit games, and if you can believe it, a fan-made port of the Master System version of Sonic 1 was recently released for the Commodore 64. Not bad. Now, Sonic 1 may not have redefined the series with new features or anything like that, but it has outstanding gameplay, great level design, and generally represents a top-notch implementation of Sonic the Hedgehog on an 8-bit console. This one is excellent. The 2nd best game on the Master System, Ninja Gaiden. Holy smokes, is this game awesome! The Master System port of Ninja Gaiden had similar graphics to some of the other early versions, but it was an entirely different game, with new weapons, vastly different stages, and a completely unique gameplay experience. This absolutely blew me away when I first played it. The music is amazing, the graphics are amazing, the controls are responsive, and the difficulty curve ramps up without getting too frustrating too quickly. I'm honestly surprised that this hidden gem isn't a bit more well known out in the retro gaming community. Just an outstanding title. And the best game for the Master System, Golden Axe Warrior. Yup, the Zelda clone. The original Legend of Zelda inspired an entirely new genre of top-down action RPG adventure-type games, and Golden Axe Warrior is one of the best for the 8-bit consoles. You explore a huge world map, discover dungeons, collect weapons, and find tons of hidden secrets along the way. The only thing holding this game back is the 2-button controller on the Master System, but they made it work. If you ever get into the console, this game is a must-play. The graphics are amazing, the sound is great, the music is catchy, and overall, the gameplay experience is second to none. This is the best that the Master System has to offer. Well, now for the stinkers. The 5th worst Sega Master System game, Sonic Blast. Huh? What? A Sonic game that sucks? Yeah, this one's pretty bad. This was a very late release for the console and tried to use pre-rendered 3D sprites for an early type of 2.5D look, similar to what Donkey Kong Country did on the Super Nintendo, but way worse. The only thing worse than the graphics here is the gameplay. Sonic Blast feels like a sloppy homebrew project, not a commercially released game. Skip this one. On to the 4th worst stinker for the Master System, Dead Angle. This is best described as a weird hybrid between an on-rail shooter and a light gun game, but without the light gun. The animation is terrible, aiming with the D-pad is clunky, the difficulty curve is absurd, and the controls overall are just really bad. The graphics are okay-ish, but the animation is choppy, and they used background tiles for the bad guys instead of sprites. Overall, this game just has no redeeming qualities. Dead Angle is dead bad. Now, the 3rd worst game for the Master System, Cyber Shinobi. To fully understand how and why this one is so bad, we'd need to spend 20 minutes discussing the Master System's graphic modes. But the short version is that all of the game sprites are actually drawn as background objects. Dead Angle used a similar method. A handful of Master System games use this trick to avoid sprite flicker, but the drawback is a very clunky animation. And for a side-scrolling platform hack-and-slash game, that's a recipe for extra spicy fail sauce. There is nothing redeemable about Cyber Shinobi. The number 2 worst game on the Master System, Ace of Aces. This is exactly what it looks like. A choppy, low-resolution flight sim with awkward controls, terrible graphics, and absolutely awful gameplay. There were a number of attempts to produce flight simulators on the 8-bit consoles, and frankly, none of them were very good because they just couldn't get around the hardware limitations of the time to present a game concept that just fundamentally needs computing power in order to work. This is definitely not War Thunder, and definitely not playable at all. Ace of Aces crashes and burns. Which brings us to World Games, the worst stinker on the console. World Games comes out of a craze in the late 80s for console titles like California Games, Winter Games, and so on, that were packaged as collections of mini-games trying to represent like the Olympics, a beach tournament, that sort of thing. World Games is a horrible example in a genre that really struggles to begin with. The primary flaw is that the controls are horribly confusing. They're entirely different for all of the mini-games, and they often just don't seem to work. Even with the game manual, the controls in the events just don't produce the intended results. Hard pass. And lastly, a special honorable mention. Vampire Master of Darkness. This was a PAL-only title, and is generally considered to be like a Castlevania clone. This game almost made the top 5 list, but it has one critical flaw, and it's really a fatal problem that it can't recover from. The stairs. Positioning the character in the right spot to go up or down the stairs is almost impossible, completely inconsistent, and beyond frustrating. There's really no way to explain it with footage. You have to experience it to understand how bad it is. That might not be a killing blow to the game on its own, except that, just like Castlevania, the levels have stairs all over the place. Everything else about the game is excellent, but this one flaw absolutely destroys the gameplay experience. Well, that about wraps it up for the best and the worst of the Sega Master System. I hope you enjoyed this look at some retro classics, and as always, thanks for watching.